What's up? What's up? What's up? Hey everybody, how you doing? It's your girl, Coach Angie Fox in the house. In the house. Welcome everybody to a fresh new episode of We Are One. Yes, you are welcome. So go ahead and call your neighbors, call your friends, and everybody that you know, and tell them to tune in to what? The number one empowerment platform in the land, www.empowerment podcast network, where We Are One is here, and we are here just for you. That's right. I have a very special guest today, and I am honored, I'm happy, I'm excited, and elated to be able to sit today with a very, I call him my brother. He's now my friend. He traveled all the way from Indiana to South Carolina just to hang out with your girl. So I want y'all to give it up and welcome no one other than author and motivator and stand-up comedian, Pete Fleck. Yes, now.
Thank you.
Welcome, Pete.
Very kind.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here with us on today. We are going to talk about a little bit of everything. But before we begin, tell us who is Peter Fleck.
Well, again, thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome.
When we had a Zoom call together, and it was so meaningful to me
And to
that
me, yes.
I felt like I had to make the trip, and yeah, and I'm so glad I did.
I'm glad you did too. Meeting you was actually an honor for me as well. I'll tell you now that I was introduced to him on social media by a young lady I did not know. Being someone that has over 6,000 followers on Facebook, I don't know all those people. Y'all know I don't know all those people, but a young lady reached out to me and told me that I needed to meet Peter Fleck. So I asked her to set up the introduction, and she did. And we did a Zoom call that he just mentioned. And I tell you what, I knew when I talked to him on Zoom that he was indeed someone that I had to connect with. So I'm honored, as I said in the beginning, to have him sitting here with me to be a part of this show so that we can encourage you to just live your best life and live your life caring about other people. That is so important. You know, in this world we live in, Peter, so many people are all about me, mine, and my four, and no more. And you just seem to be the Peter that I've met and have talked to, the complete opposite. So, what is the driving force behind what you do?
Uh, Well, it started when I was a kid. I was a army brat, so I grew up all over the place. Spent a lot of time in Germany. My father retired out at Fort Benjamin Harrison in Indiana. I was a straight up little punk. I was running around stealing things whenever I could. I got a lot of excitement from that. Joined the military when I was 17. I thought I was going to travel the world and be in all sorts of different battles or whatever, and which never happened for me. I did appreciate my time in the military. It did make me grow up a lot.
Thank you for your service, by the way. 24 years in the armed forces. That's amazing.
Well, thank
Thank
you.
you.
Yeah, I got to finish out my time in the military as a drill sergeant at Fort Benning, Georgia, and making an impression on other young men's lives, and that meant the world to me. Main reason why I like Facebook is I can still communicate with a lot of them and see
Right,
how they're
right.
doing. And when I came off of active duty the first time in 1990, I got a job as the site security supervisor at the city market downtown Indianapolis. We were unarmed security because we had two divisions of police right across the street. And my first day on the job, I was there 15 minutes. We had a shooting stabbing involving a young lady named Teresa who was filing charges against her boyfriend right across the street at the city county building. He waited for her to come out, shot her 4 times in the back with a 25 caliber pistol. She ran into the city market where I was being trained by this young guy named Matt, and Matt had just told me, Pete, you're gonna love working here. Nothing ever happens. And 5 minutes later, I'm covered in blood. Uh, the young lady ran into the city market. Her ex-boyfriend Robert pursued her, ran her down, grabbed a butcher knife off one of the counters, repeatedly stabbed her. He took off running as we approached, and I ran smack into her, and I'll never forget, she looked at me and said, "Please help me." And I sat her down, tried to control the bleeding the best I could. She was in shock. She wasn't feeling any pain. She asked me random questions, like, was I shot? And I said, you were shot, but it's not bad. Don't worry about it. I got this. She asked where her mom was, and I said, well, I think your mom's out talking to the police right now, but she said everything's great, so don't worry. The whole time I thought, ma'am, I'm sorry. There's nothing I can do for you, but I'm going to keep just talking sweet to you until you walk towards the light. At this moment, her ex-boyfriend stepped out from behind a van with his own gun to his head and got into a firefight with IPD. He lost. He was dead on the scene. And then the paramedics finally showed up. And there I go again. I always say finally. It only took them 15 minutes, but it seemed like a lifetime
Much longer, yes.
as you're waiting, just trying to tell this lady, no, it's going to be fine. You're going to make it. It's going to be okay. As soon as they arrived, she flatlined, which I was expecting. They managed to get a pulse and get her out the door, and I was expecting that night to hear that she was dead on arrival. Instead, 3 days later, she's given an interview.
Amazing. Yes, that's a miracle. A
It truly
beautiful
was.
miracle.
It truly was.
Definitely.
But
So,
I learned three things that night. Number one, anything can happen anywhere at any time.
right.
And that is not to make people paranoid. That is to, hey, every now and then, pick your head up out of your phone, take a look around, know what's going on in your surroundings.
Yes.
The second and even more important thing is it is never over. As long as you are drawing breath, you are in the fight.
I love that. As long as you're drawing breath, as long as you can breathe, you are still in the fight. So we like to say, don't give up. Giving up is not an option. And what's that third thing that you got out of that, Pete?
The third thing I learned was a lot about myself, and that I wanted to put myself in a position where I could do something about situations like that. But before that moment, I wanted to be an accountant. I always love how numbers don't lie, unlike words. And so I always felt like I have a better relationship with numbers than I do with words. So I'm going to get into accounting. But that moment right
That
there,
moment changed things.
it truly did.
I
And
love it.
I'll never forget when the last detective left and the door slammed shut, and there was this huge echo in this. It was just me and Matt. And that's when I looked down, and I hadn't noticed before, but I was covered in blood. And I sat down on the floor and just had this massive adrenaline dump. And that's when you start doing the what if this would have happened? What if that would have happened? So I had nightmares for 3 months and then started filling out applications to police departments.
You know what? What I didn't hear when we spoke on Zoom was what you just said. You had a defining moment when you had to be there for someone who physically was dying from being shot and stabbed, but you did not walk away from her. You told her what she needed to hear to keep her talking, keeping her alive. So you had a very big part to play in her surviving what should have taken her out. So your defining moment caused you to realize that you wanted to help people. Now, what I didn't pay attention to before was the consequences or result of what caused your defining moment to be, caused you to have a mental issue as far as dealing with post traumatic stress. It caused PTSD in you because you said you had nightmares for 3 months after that event took place. However, rather than resting in that and making it all about yourself or even giving up, you allow that to fuel you enough to still pursue a career which would give you opportunities to continue helping people. That is, what's the word I always use? Amazing. Because so many times we don't just give up on ourselves. We turn away from helping others many times because it's easier. But instead of walking away and saying, I can't do this, or I won't do this, or now I need help because of these nightmares and they won't stop, and allowing that to overtake you, you took that thing and used it to gas you up enough to join the police force, which developed your character and to become the man that you are sitting here today. So for that, I applaud you and I thank you. Yes, on behalf of all those people whose lives you've touched when you served, whether it was the military or the police force, and for everything that you've done and those people that you've impacted because you were in a position where you could, where it was needed, where they were counting on you. Thank you for not walking away. Thank you for staying the course. Thank you for accepting the assignment of helping others. That's not as common as you may think. So that's why I don't have a problem saying thank you for showing up. Amen.
Thank you.
Okay. You talk about your defining moment that we just mentioned and being in the police force and, of course, the military. And thank you for all of your services. But what you didn't mention is there's so many layers to you. And one of them is an author. So, as an author of 3 published books, the last one being this one, and it says, Before They Were Monsters. Now, you look at this title and you think, I wonder what in the world that is about, right? But I want to ask you, Pete, what was your inspiration behind Before They Were Monsters? What's your why for writing this, and what is this about?
Well, that's one of my favorite things about writing.
Yeah.
I've been able to take dark moments in my life and turn them into amazing fiction. The first book I wrote, it's called Caged, is actually loosely based on when I had to work 2 fatality accidents in one afternoon. Just a lot of bodies had to deal with. My second book, um Angel Templar, is actually loosely based on that situation at the city market, that shooting.
Okay.
This one is actually based on when I was doing foster care and Big Brother programs.
Okay.
I tried to get some friends involved, which we do not. And yeah, please don't we need men and women to get involved
Absolutely.
with young
Absolutely.
people's lives. But with males, uh, men love their moms and they want the respect of dad.
Right.
And, that's a major gap we need to get filled. And when I brought it to the attentions of some of my friends, I remember 2 of them saying, hey, if any of these kids make a false accusation against me, then my reputation is destroyed.
And
Even if
that's
I prove it to
understandable.
be false. Yeah, and you're
That's
right.
understandable, yes.
And it's true. But the other side is, what if this child turns out to be something horrible and we had an opportunity to be something positive in their life? And I start the book off with an African proverb that I read in 2019. I was visiting my brother in the Philippines, and I'll never forget it. The proverb goes, when you do not allow a young man into the tribe, he will burn the village down to feel its warmth.
That's something to ponder. Think about it. Say that again, Peter.
When you do not allow a young man into the tribe, he will burn the village down to feel its warmth.
And don't we see that so many times? I don't care if you're living in Indiana, South Carolina, or wherever. Every state and about every city can probably attest to the fact that that is indeed a reality for many, many people. When we turn our backs on those that need our help, those that are crying out for help, those that are looking to be welcome, looking for warmth, as they say, and we turn our backs on them and just don't see them, don't hear them, this dismiss them. Sometimes the adverse effect can be something as horrific as burn the village down just to feel the warmth. And we don't live in a village in every state. Here we don't. However, there are other things that someone who's been rejected can do to cause harm to themselves or to others, maybe even to you or yours. It would behoove us. It would be in not just our own best interest, but the best interest of our community and the world around us to open our hearts, our minds, and our eyes and be more receptive. Be more like Peter Fleck and say, I'm going to use this to, to put myself in a position to help somebody. We all need to consider this. What can I do to help you? Versus, you're not my problem because you're not related to me. I believe that so many of our people, whether they're young, um, older, or whatever, I believe those that are what we call mischievous, or those out there wreaking havoc in the communities all around us. I believe it started from somewhere, and many times probably rejection. So when your friends say one false report from a child can ruin my reputation and cost me my reputation. And I may never be able to bounce back from that. And you say to them, what if a child does something horrific because we weren't there, nobody was there, right?
Right.
What if? So, what did you take from that? When you said that to your friends, how did you change? Did it change their narrative at all?
Unfortunately, no. And we're talking about really good men who
Yeah.
work with kids, but uh, and when I was doing Big Brother programs, I can't say I cheated, but I would take my youngest son with me,
Yeah.
so I was never alone with him because you have to take certain
Precautions.
measures. Yes.
Yes.
Whenever I was alone with a kid in the car, I was recording it.
Be
Yeah, we got
precaution. Take
you've
caution.
got to
That's
do
right.
that.
That's
But
wisdom. You know, you still have to look out for everything and protect yourself and them. So there's nothing wrong with taking those extra precautions to make sure that everything is on the up and up, everything is recorded. So I don't have to worry about you destroying my name or my reputation or my intention. However, you could have said what your friend said and not help, but you didn't do that, did you?
no, I didn't. And especially the foster care, it did more for me
Mm.
than it did for the kids. And what I love is two of them are now 27 years old.
Yeah.
They're pretty close in age. None of them have taken me off of their bank accounts for notifications, which is absolutely, so when they were 16, I would take all the kids to Chase Bank and, we'd get them a checking account. And I told them, hey, when you turn 18, just take my name off of it. But they don't take my name off of it because I get a notification when it drops below $50.
Smart kids.
It's,
But that speaks volumes of their trust and your relationship with them and the fact that you were there for them.
yeah,
So being a father doesn't necessarily mean they have to have your DNA.
no,
You know what I'm saying?
no.
Being a father is just simply showing up and being there for them. And it's love that makes you family.
No.
So that's how they see you.
One of the young men, Ryan, who moved into, and I loved how he didn't even ask. He just came in and started living with us.
Wow.
And I was like, Ryan, are you going to go home? And he said, no, I kind of like it here. And I was like, I don't think it
Okay.
works that way, brother. And it turns out it works that way. He was with me for over 7 years.
Big.
But
Oh,
he
wow.
is the first one to call me on Father's Day.
Wow.
Every year,
Isn't
he's
that
the first
beautiful?
one to call me on Father's Day. And
That's
yeah, that
good.
it means the world to me.
Now, what if you had closed your door and your heart to him? It could have been such, not just the opposite, but can you imagine how it may have affected his life negatively
But
without having you there, with open arms and open home and love, unconditional love, as if he was your own?
someone is going to come into these kids' life.
Yes.
And if it's not you, then it's going to be somebody not desirable. And what people
I
don't
like that.
understand
Yeah.
is why people join a gang is the same reason
Looking for
why
family.
I became a police officer, trying to trying to get my four primal needs
Yes.
of certainty, uncertainty, significance, and relationships. You
Mm-hmm.
get all four of those in a gang, just
Yes.
like you get all four of those as a police officer.
Yes.
So in that word, our worlds aren't as far apart as people think they are.
Yes. We
Eh,
tend to think that because we take ourselves out of the equation as we think. We remove ourselves from the situation. We think that it's not my problem. My boys don't do it, so I'm good. My grandkids are fine, so I don't have to care about yours. And because we do that, and many times we do that more than not, then we don't see that we are, like you say, more. There's not much difference in us and them as we would like to think, as we try to tell ourselves. I say lie to ourselves, and all it takes sometimes is just, even if it's a sacrifice. I'll go as far as to allow you to say an inconvenience. So what? You may be an inconvenience sometimes, but guess what? The the end result is it could save a child's life. It could change the trajectory of someone's life. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, and
Yes.
I'm so glad you said that because, yeah, people go into this. Do not expect warm and fuzzies. Do not expect thank yous. Somebody asked me what I get from, now that I do reach out at correction facilities and work with young men in recovery. They ask, what do you get out of this? And I'm like, usually you get lied to. Usually you get let down. Usually they try to take advantage of you. So, uh, but at sometimes you get to make a difference.
That's it. That's what
And
it's all about, y'all. Making a difference.
And to me, that's a successful life.
That's it. It's true. That's it. If you're not doing anything, that means you're not helping. You're not doing anything in your own life. You're not doing anything in your community. You're not helping to change the lives of our young generation because not everybody is 60 years old like me. So there's some people, generations behind me and more generations to come. So what are we going to do? Sit down and say, I'm 60 now, I've got it made, and I don't have to worry about anything, and let the generations behind us just fall to the ground? They need us. They need your wisdom. They need your strength. They need your support. They need your love. They need your prayers. They need your help. They need you to show up and just be there. So before they were monsters, I'm going to read just from the back of the book to give you an idea of where this book is going. Because Peter said to me before the show that when I read this book, I will see people that I know. So, just to make you want to read this, it says, my name is Dwayne Taylor, and until 6 months ago, I considered myself to be a good person, a good father, a hard worker, and just a boring graphic designer. I thought I cared about other people. All that perhaps, I'm sorry, I thought I cared about other people, and that perhaps my biggest misconception was I also thought that other people cared about other people. He said, I'll see people that I know. That means you too. Today, I am waiting to be escorted to a prison interview room to be formally, no, to formally meet a rapist slash murderer that I have been consumed with for the past 6 months. He's in my veins, in the back of my eyes when I blink. 6 months, and he's still all I think about. How did it come to this? I'm a graphic designer, a father, and was once a loving husband and an assistant coach for girls volleyball. I pay my taxes. I go to church at least once a month, and I call my mom every Saturday. Now I'm going to talk to a killer, and what I'm about to do will shock everyone. How did it come to this? What could I have done to change this? So, am I going to see you when you read this? Is this your story? And what are you going to do to change it? We have to begin with changing our narrative. No more one word from that child and my reputation is ruined, as true as that may be. We have to, rather than that, take on the fight that this, my brother, is sitting here doing. He said, as long as there's breath in your body, you're still in the fight. And as long as you and I are in the fight, we have an obligation and a responsibility to stand up for others. You may not take on a foster child, you may not, but you can be there for someone other than yourself. Just imagine, Peter, if we were to go out in our communities, in these various communities, in all of the cities, and began to show the kind of love and support that we ourselves wanted or even had to some of these people that are out in the streets that are still searching for love and those four key elements that you just mentioned. If we were put ourselves in the places where they are and reach out to them, and instead of running away because of one word, because you said something profound, you said, don't expect what warmth and thank yous, and you even had the expression on your face like this is what you need to expect. You're not going to get the kind words or the hugs or the welcoming smile, but if you pursue, if you're persistent, if we are persistent in our pursuit to help them, I declare, I believe we will see changes, just as you've seen changes in the lives of the young men that you've stood up for.
So, yeah, just a couple weeks ago, as a matter of fact, a young man that I took whitewater rafting, um, he just got sentenced to 17 years.
Wow.
And it's heart wrenching when you think about all the time that you invested in them and stuff.
Right.
But um, yes, it's not going to turn out 100% every single time.
Right.
But at change lanes, sometimes it doesn't take very much at all. Sometimes all it takes is a kind word.
Yes.
And during our Zoom call, we talked about one time when I was in court, this old man who,
Yes. Tell us that story. This is amazing, you guys. Let's listen to this.
because yeah, something I'm incredibly passionate about is just how when people get into the system, when they get into our legal system, how difficult we make it for them to
Right.
get out again. And it takes taking something simple like we talked about, driving while suspended. Once they get into that, it is so hard for them to get out of it. And this old man showed up to court like he had a dozen times before, and the judge asked him, "Have you gotten your license yet?" He goes, "No, no, nobody will take me to the DMV." And the judge says, "Well, we gave you a public defender." And the old man goes, "Yeah, he won't take me to the DMV." And the judge said, "Well, I'm going to give you 30 more days to try to get something going." The judge, very nice man. And the old man goes, "Look, I just want to plead guilty. I just want to try to pay my fines. I keep having to take time off work. I keep having to jump through all these hoops, and I never get what I need when I'm here." And the judge said, "I understand that, but we're going to give you 30 more days." And the guy just leaves looking totally defeated. I turned around to the court ladies and said, "Give me his phone number." And I called them up after court and I was like, "Hey, sir, my name's Pete Fleck. I was the bailiff in court today. What can I do to get you your license?" And the guy starts bawling, just starts crying. He goes, "I didn't think anybody cared." And the amazing thing I did was I sat there on my lazy butt. I made 2 phone calls, and this guy did all the legwork. He just needed to know somebody was in his corner. That's
Yes,
all.
that's
And
it.
sometimes that's all they need is just for you to sit there, listen. Hey, I care about you. Again, like I said, I made 2 phone calls. I was going to meet him at the DMV to make sure there was no problems because time before I lent somebody my car so they could take the test, and it turns out we were talking about 2 different DMVs. So oops. But he that next month he came into court with his
With
license.
his
I've
license.
never seen
That's
somebody
it.
looking so happy, and it was
Something as
amazing.
simple as that
That
made
just
a
that simple.
major difference in his life. In his life,
Yeah.
and I can guarantee you, without even knowing him, that he has never forgotten you, and the fact that you cared enough to show up and help him. Or look, a phone call. How many times do we know people are going through things, and we sit at home on the lazy boy or on the recliner in our homes, eating Oreo cookies and milk, enjoying ourselves and our solitude and our peace, and we don't even take a moment to reach out and make that phone call. Some people only need to know that you care. There's a post I put on our page, We Are One the Movement, a short while ago, and it said, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And I think that would be amazing if we, each and every one of us, took the time to think about that and actively engage in caring for other people so that we won't see ourselves in this book, but we'll be the ones that make a difference in the lives of the young people and older ones alike that need us. Yeah, right? We have that obligation. So Peter Fleck, tell us, how can how can our readers, our listeners, our audience find you and get this book, an autographed copy of this book?
Right now, there's unfortunately only two ways to get my book.
Mm-hmm.
One is at Amazon.com. Just put in Pete Fleck. All three of my books will pop up.
Okay.
Or you can go to my website at PeteFleckBooks.com, and all of them will be there.
Say that
Or
again. Say your website again.
PeteFleckBooks.com.
Okay, you got that? www. Say it with me. PeteFleckBooks.com. That's right. Go ahead and get your copy today. Thank you so much for being here. Now, he is not going to come from Indiana to your house to bring you a book like he did for my house to bring me a book. So, I want you all to go ahead and get on those devices and order your copy today. And I'm telling you, if you order from the website, it comes from him. It comes from you.
No, no. If you order from the website, it'll take you right to Amazon.
Oh, it takes you to Amazon. Well, go ahead and order your book today. And those that are in our live studio audience today, they will get their copies today because he came to something to see me and to be here for you so that you could be reminded that it is time, it's your time to be the help that somebody else needs. That's what we want you to take away from here today. Be the help, be the prayer, the answer to someone else's prayer. Okay? We love you. We thank God for you. Peter, thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so much for being here with us today. And we're looking forward to hearing much more from him. Yes. So we want you to continue to tune in to www.empowerment podcast network and continue watching much, much more of We Are One because we are. We love you. God bless you. Holla at your girl.